Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. On behalf of HEC Maroc, it is my great honor to open Pharma Forward, our second major conference of the year. After weeks of preparation and a lot of anticipation, we're finally here, ready to dive into conversations with some of the most brilliant voices shaping the future of healthcare and pharmaceuticals. But before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank all of you for being here. Your presence is what gives meaning to events like this, and we're truly grateful. Now, before introducing our esteemed guests, let me reflect on, or maybe remind you of, what our association, HEC Maroc, is all about. HEC Maroc was created with a bold ambition to highlight the richness and potential of our country from every angle, from culture to business, strategy, entrepreneurship, and beyond. We strongly believe that Morocco is a nation on the rise, a dynamic bridge between Africa and the rest of the world, full of opportunities and full of potential. It is a country that deserves to be both studied and celebrated. And who better to do so than those with the ambition to shape its future and to drive meaningful progress? It is with this vision in mind that HEC Maroc was created, to bring together voices, ideas, and actions through events like this one, to inspire and empower those shaping tomorrow. To the HEC Maroc alumni and founders in the room, we see you, and we know the bar you set is high. We were committed to carrying this legacy even further. Now, today, we are honored to welcome two remarkable leaders whose work embodies this very vision. Their contributions to the pharmaceutical and consulting industries, both in Morocco and internationally, have been nothing short of transformative. Let me begin by introducing Ayman Cheikh Lahlou, Chairman and CEO of Cooper Pharma. A true visionary, Monsieur Cheikh Lahlou has transformed Cooper Pharma from a family business into a global leader in the pharmaceutical industry. Recognized as one of Forbes' top 100 healthcare leaders, his leadership has paved the way for strategic partnerships with industry giants like Merck, Pfizer, and Pierre Fabre, expanding access to healthcare across Africa. His work has firmly positioned Morocco as a key player in global pharmaceutical innovation. Monsieur Cheikh Lahlou, we're truly honored to have you with us today, and we look forward to hearing more about your journey. Welcome. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Mehdi Lahrichi, partner at McKinsey & Company. A graduate of HEC Paris, Monsieur Lahrichi has played a pivotal role in guiding organizations across French-speaking Africa and beyond through bold transformation. His expertise in healthcare and pharmaceuticals includes advising Cooper Pharma of its strategic expansion into key international markets such as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Sub-Saharan Africa. His work continues to strengthen Morocco's role in shaping the future of global healthcare, and we're very lucky to have both the company and the consultant in the same room with us. Monsieur Lahrichi, we are equally excited to hear your insights, so welcome as well. Finally, and as we begin, the only thing I want to add is be curious, ask questions, and make the most of this opportunity to engage with these leaders. So welcome to Pharma Forward. And now I invite you, Mr. Cheikh Lahlou, to join me on stage.
Thank you so much. Lina, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Welcome. Thank you for welcoming me. Let's have a very cool, relaxed, interactive session. Please try to make the most of it. Very informal way. You need to take the maximum of it. And I am your servant, so use us. And we have some colleagues here. Anything you'd like to know, we could shed some light. It's a pleasure. So once again, thank you so much for the organizers, and let us start. So I understand the mic. This is the mic. Okay, so a quick snapshot on Cooper Pharma. Then I think there are some Q&A. Then we'll go, Mehdi and I, on a kind of business case or the mission we've developed at Cooper Pharma over Africa, and then back again to the room with questions, okay? So I'll try to go quick to allow more time for exchanges and communication. So to start on Cooper Pharma, it's a very special company that started in 1933, so we are 90 years plus. It's a leader over the region of Africa and Middle East. In Casablanca. Some figures, it's $315 million revenues, 1,600 employees. 1/4 of them are in sales. And we have 9 manufacturing plants over Europe, Africa, and Middle East. And also in Morocco, we have also distribution activity that is separate from the pharma one. And this is something that we are leveraging to go somewhere else. So just some milestones. In 1999, we were under a business model of export. So we were manufacturing in Morocco, then exporting. In 2013, this is a pivotal date because we decided to create international hub in UAE, in Dubai. And Dubai is where I'm living now for a couple of years, is really a great spot to be, and could be a discussion if you want to talk about Middle East, what's going on at the moment in the Gulf, in the GCC, Dubai, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So we decided to go there, and there you must bear in mind one thing, why people go there beyond the reasons you can think of. The main one is access to talent. So you understand already that it's always a story of people. 2017, we built a pharma company in Dubai called Pharmax, and it was a JV between another Moroccan pharma company and locals, and this company has been very quickly, within 1 year, EU approved, so approved by the European Medicine Agency, and this is, as of today, the only one that's been approved in the UAE. Then we are very long-termist, so you've seen 90 years, so we build for the long run. So I didn't expect to sell it, but what happened is that during the COVID, the local authorities of Abu Dhabi wanted to control pharma manufacturing because it was a strategic asset. So we sold to a very big sovereign fund, even if it was not in our plan. But we are glad to have this organization in place in UAE. In 2022, we started the operations of a plant, that's the first one in Rwanda. Rwanda is also something we can discuss because it's an amazing country in Africa, something you cannot expect, you would not expect, and it's called the Switzerland of Africa. And it's very different from the images we can have on Africa. So I love Africa in general, but Rwanda is very, very special and a dear place to me, and a lab. And we are just neighboring Carnegie Mellon University. That's the location we took at Kigali Innovation City. So it doesn't seem linear what I've done. I should have started before. So in 2000, it's like this. So what you can see here, basically, it's a story of organic setups and also acquisitions. So it started also in Europe in 2000 with the acquisition of a company in Prague, in Praha, that is doing probiotics. 2015, we've done something in Saudi. 21, that's very interesting what we've done in 2021. We created Cooper Bioscience in Dubai, with also an office in Palo Alto at Stanford University. And this is doing, participating into innovation, but we don't do innovation, but we team up with guys like spin-off from MIT, from Stanford, from American hospitals. I can talk about this if you want. And in 23, we did something important, that was the acquisition of Sanofi plant in Saudi Arabia. So the question is why Sanofi would sell, and if you want to have this question, I can go dig into it, what's going on in this big pharma world at the moment. So we, with my colleagues here, we acquired 100% of this plant and kept all the Sanofi business in Saudi Arabia. And this is also opening for us the door to a lot of development. Our story in Saudi started 12 years back before that with commercial organization. And with this acquisition, we are now 200 people almost in Saudi between manufacturing, sales, and support. Yeah, so here, what we are very proud of is that out of the 1,600 people, we have a great gender parity, so 49% are ladies. And this has not been done by design. There was not a plan to say, okay, we need by 2024 to achieve this. No, it's been made just by skills, by competence. So it came like that, and this is also great to know. If you go on the ground, you'd find other interesting, surprising story data. 80%, almost 80% of our staff in Saudi plant are women, Saudi women. So this is something that we might not expect, but this is what's happening on the ground. And the women in Saudi are great. Not as great as the women in Morocco or from Morocco, because they need to prove. So that's very important. It's always a story of drivers. What is driving you? So in Saudi, knowing the situation of women, now they are really a very powerful force because they need to prove to the world, to the country that they can do. So it's great stamina, great things happening. And in our top management, like 150 people, let's say 10% of that, almost 2/3 are ladies at Cooper. So geography-wise, I've talked about it. You have Morocco, that is the base, that is the foundation, and still the foundation, of course. And we owe everything to our country, where we have 5 plants, either on our own or in JV. We have a culture of bringing regional leaders to do to localize new technologies. So the number 2 Indian pharma company, you know that in pharma, India is making 30% of the global supply of the world. So we have a partner called Cipla, and we have a JV in Rabat with them, making some technologies that were not existing and were fully imported before. We have also a JV in Morocco in Tangiers with the number 1 Saudi company. So we have this culture. And by the way, Cooper is not Cooper, it's Cooper. It's derived from coopération, cooperative, or in Arabic, شركة للتعاون الصيدلي. And cooperation is the transversal in our strategy and DNA. So yeah, North Africa, West Africa, East Africa, Europe with Czech and Madrid, because Madrid is cool. That's where we basically are. Yeah, that's also very important. We do business with people, with location we like. If there's a super business somewhere we don't like, we don't go. Tant qu'à faire. Cooper Pharma in Morocco, yeah, nothing special you would not find in our website or general information. I think if you, we are a little bit different from the other guys of the region because we've been more doing things regionally and internationally. We moved from export mindset to localization, building a plant in Côte d'Ivoire, building a plant in Rwanda or in Saudi Arabia is not something easy. It's not always fun. There's no clear payback. I mean, the payback you expect from your Excel sheets is not what happens in reality, but you make something that is useful. So you make something that has sense, so you create. So we are not guys driven by the money. Of course, we manage money. It's important, but we're blessed to do something that we deem useful for our communities, for ourselves, for our the patient, for our population. So meaning is a very high motivation also beyond the figures, beyond the recognition, etc. Because you will see it in your career, or maybe you see it already. We need to find sense. We need to find meaning. We need to find ourselves useful beyond the metrics we are used to. And we are blessed to have such opportunities to build, to contribute humbly, to build access to healthcare, to localize technology, to learn people in Africa, in Middle East, yeah, and to contribute. So basically, I think that's what we call impact.
Good evening, Mr. Cheikh Lahlou, and welcome to HEC. From your beginnings at Schema Business School to the classrooms of Stanford Graduate School of Business, you've built a career rooted in innovation and adaptability. Starting in skincare and financial services, you took a bold step into the pharmaceutical sector in 2000. Since then, you've led Cooper Pharma to expand your exports into over 24 countries, balancing growth, innovation, and impact. But tonight, we're here to go beyond milestone and numbers. Tonight is about unpacking how you made it all happen, the decisions, the challenges, and the vision. How does a leader take a family business and transform it into a global force? How do you position Morocco as a leader in global healthcare? And what does it take to challenge and expand the limits of an industry that touches millions of lives every day? Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm round of applause for Ayman Cheikh Lahlou.
So my first question is that you have decided to pursue business studies early in your academic journey. At that time, were you already considering a career in the pharmaceutical industry, or were you exploring broader opportunities?
Thanks. I mean, no, I was not looking into pharma. I wanted to do my own businesses. I'm really an entrepreneur in spirit, so I remember that when I was going through some oral at business school to get into entry, the question was was giving me was how do you see yourself in 20 years from now? And I see myself managing a lot of businesses. So there was but which ones I didn't know, and not pharma. And early on, already at the second year of business school, I created two businesses in Morocco, commuting between Lille and Casablanca. And I think it's only when I put in place, with successes, with failure, some businesses on my own, that there was an opportunity to go into the family business in pharma that I joined. But I had to do things on my own, to start some stuff before going into the family thing. Yeah, so initially was only entrepreneurship spirit that I still have, and I'm active in other sectors. I'm still very curious. And then what happened on the pharma, I was of course seeing every day my father building the company brick by brick, and I get inspiration, and because he's an exceptional guy. And then I found this space so potentially useful and could have an impact in the country and in the region. So I said, okay, let's go. But it was not easy.
After your studies at Schema Business School, you had the chance to pursue an MBA at Stanford, and you often mentioned how impactful was your strategy class. The first day you were attending this class, the professor wrote on the board, "Strategy is execution." So can you tell us more about that moment, and how did this idea shape your understanding of the role of a leader, I would say, in the strategy of a company?
This is very fun, because actually I was reading a brochure of Stanford many years before, and I was like having a fantasy on this university. And to make it short, when I managed to get there, on the eve of going there, I was like, okay, I'm going to California. It's going to be fun. I'm going to create some businesses from there again in Morocco. I'm going to do sports and have fun, etc. But actually, I could not do that. The program I've did is the 2 years MBA program are for 26 years old guys. And then there was a program that is a much smaller class where we do 80% of the program in 10 months. So it was horrible. It was too much. It was crazy. And the first months, we were doing very difficult classes for me. I don't know if you do here recherche opérationnelle, manipulating data, a lot of things that are not that fun. So after on the second term, when the strategy class was announced, for me it was like, at last, I'm gonna see the guys from Nike, Google, Microsoft, and gonna hear about these great ideas and stories. And the first thing the teacher did on the board, we call it in Arabic sabora, with tabashir, with lacré, was to write strategy is execution. So suddenly every dream, every concept you dream about is collapsing because this is not strategy I was expecting. Where is the fantasy? So it was welcome to the real world. So very, very important. I mean, it's like the idea in French where you say 1% of inspiration and 99% of transpiration. It's really this. When you see those great concepts coming from there, I mean, we don't see how much failures happened before, how much stress, how much hard job, how much job that can seem like elementary, with low value added. So this is all the story of this. And strategy is execution. And then on the execution, you need to do it super right. You cannot miss yourself. You can, and it's almost like a military. So this is the ideal. But in reality, we try, we fail, we correct, we improve. So this is the meaning that, yeah. I can do shorter replies.
That's perfect. So every CEO faces defining moments, especially at the beginning of their journey. Can you share with us the main challenges you encountered when you first stepped into Cooper Pharma? And what did this teach you basically about yourself as a leader today?
Yeah, I think the main challenge was to convince a successful company that is existing for a long time that we need to change a little bit the business model. So it's very, very difficult to come like this as a son within an organization with a governance and people. So you already are coming with a liability because and then when you say, okay, we need to change because this and this is coming. So this was the main challenge. And there was something changing in the pharma. So it is difficult because I think people who are very good are taken in what we study. I don't know if you studied this, guys, is what we call the competency trap. Is that you have a skill in a company and you try to improve it and improve it and improve it. But when there is a shift in paradigm, you don't see it, and you are caught in your competency that you think you're improving, whereas the things are changing. So it was very difficult to explain this. I think, so the takeaway here is that people who are too much into their job should what's going on in Morocco or in the region, looking at what's going on. Sometimes we say, oh, this is not working in our country. We are really linked to global setting. And voilà. Yeah, okay.
Thanks a lot for your insight. You emphasize the importance of deep listening and a culture of debate. But once that's achieved, you describe Cooper Pharma's approach as executing like a military. So how do you create this balance between open dialogue and disciplined execution?
I'll tell you how we do it. I believe we create an environment where debate is allowed. Culturally, maybe it was not the case, or not much. But you need to create an environment where debate, where different opinions are heard. And then we need to take a decision. Once the decision is taken, everyone should align, even the ones who were debating and not agreeing. And we should align like military for a better execution. We come back to the topic. So to make it short, that's the answer.
Thank you. In a Forbes interview, you mentioned aligning with Morocco's healthcare reform to achieve 100% coverage by 2025. How is Cooper Pharma overcoming regulatory challenges to ensure timely access to quality medicines and support this goal?
So first of all, when we talk about healthcare in Morocco, our king has made a great project called the Universal Coverage by the end of 25. So there's been a massive mobilization into that. At our level, we try to contribute with increased localization of goods. You must know that in Morocco, almost 2/3 of the medicine we are consuming are locally made, whereas if you go to France, it's less than 60%, or Germany, less than 60%. So contributing to the localization, local manufacturing of pharma technologies, what the pharma environment and players, and we have 52 players, are contributing very well. And remember, in COVID, it was essential because the lucky ones were the ones who had access locally to their medicine. And alhamdulillah, thanks to God and our efforts, during COVID, Morocco was quite well organized because you had this access. So that's our way to contribute.
So Africa's pharmaceutical market is heavily reliant on import, with up to 94% of medicines coming from outside of the continent. Yeah. How is Cooper working to strengthen local production or to ensure accessibility and affordability for medicines in this continent?
Yeah, so first of all, I was very mad against all what we heard from the big pharma many years saying, you cannot do this technology in your countries, you cannot do, this is taken for us. This is happening only in Europe and US and Japan. No. And this is exactly what is happened in Africa. Can you imagine 84 or 90% reliance on import for things that can be locally done? This is outrageous. So you must know that it was a big thing. The guy who have technology want to keep it and would always tell you, not possible, complicated, etc. So we should not be naive of that. So once you say, okay, what are we talking about? So for me, we should contribute to have at least 1-2 plants in every African country to do paracetamol, amoxicillin, the basics. And you hear about pharma with biotech, cell and gene therapy, super stuff, incredible stuff, CRISPR technology. But 20% of drugs can cure 80% of disease, and these 20% are low tech. So for me, I'm outraged when I see these kind of things. No, this is not for you guys, you're in Africa. No way. So we try to contribute, as many other players from Morocco and from the region, to build plants, and for in Rwanda, in Côte d'Ivoire, maybe in other countries. That's our way. And even here in France, it's not normal. Guys, this country was one of the best in chemicals, la chimie fine, Ron Poulenc-Rohrer, etc. So I'm not criticizing to criticize, but I'm saying industry, manufacturing is essential. We should keep some stuff. In our case, in Morocco, our king also has done a great initiative, is to build 26 hectares plot of land, vaccines. If you dig into it, you would say it's not easy to sustain a vaccines plant because vaccines are following pandemics and vaccine consumption is not always linear, and you need to keep up with a plant that is running every day. Still, this is strategy. So we need to have this. We need so even here, you need to get back some of the local manufacturing of pharma. You need to get back how the active ingredients, les matières premières, local and should not be kept only outside. Of course, when you do the economics, when you compare, there are countries that have a higher economies of scale where it makes more sense to do this. Okay, but this is maybe 80% of my supply. Then I can afford 20% local or in the region of Europe or in the region of Mediterranean. So this is the kind of stuff that we should also, and the problem that guys have in Europe is that you're governed by short governments, 5 years. So you cannot, pharma is long term. So you see, there is also politics involved, etc. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, yes, but this was my outcry.
You mentioned earlier in the presentation
I did not.
Scaling rapidly across continents and countries. It can come with significant pressures, both personally and professionally. So how do you manage the demands of leading Cooper Pharma at such a scale? And would you say that there are any values or support systems that help you maintain resilience?
I did not get the question, so sorry.
Yeah, so scaling across countries and continents can come with pressure.
Yeah.
So it implies that you're leading Cooper Pharma at an important huge scale. So how do you manage these demands of working in so many countries and continents and the pressure that can come with it? And would you say that there are values or support systems that help you maintain resilience?
Make it sure I don't manage. No, I'm kidding. First, it's a super motivation that guys from Morocco are going in the region, are going more globally. So we are the ones, and we are not only the only one in pharma. We are not the only one it's not the only sector. So we are going to places where we are not supposed to go, where we are not supposed to be seen. This I like, to surprise. And also my message here is to tell you that of course there are limits, but there are no limits. I mean, the limits we put to ourselves are in our mental. I'm not saying we're going to Mars. Of course, we need to be realistic. So we should be decomplexing. So this is a point. So first of all, there is a motivation. Then guys like you and guys from other business schools, from School of Engineering, are having access to the same education that guys who are working in Europe or US, and some of you are coming back to your countries in Africa. So, and the most important thing is the people. The most important thing, and we are blessed in Morocco, we have a nice environment, pro-business, so we can take it. Then comes the question, the country does the country have the comparative advantages like the porter forces, etc. So big motivation. It's possible to go beyond our usual boundaries, and then managing complexity outside. It's a big equilibrist play because you're managing, first of all, different cultures. So you need to have a mindset of agility, a mindset of accepting the other, a mindset of not saying that I have the truth, to be open, but still you are very well in your feet, you are very aligned with your mission and values, and then you try to swim. That's it.
So many CEOs speaks about KPIs and financial market, but you draw from philosophy, literature, and spirituality to guide your decision. So my question is, what philosophical principles or spiritual lesson do you find most useful when you're faced with difficult decision in the boardroom?
Make no mistake, we're handling businesses. So KPIs, finance, strategy, cold figures, cold things, reporting, systems, governance is essential. Maybe I do believe that we can be nurtured by other industries, يعني the cost fertilization things. Then on the philosophy thing, I try to answer, I don't know, I mean, but for me, philosophy is really the higher level. Where you remember when we were in, you were maybe in baccalaureate, we were studying philosophy at that time. I don't know if it has changed or not. There were 20 chapters. And mathematics and logic are part of philosophy. And unfortunately, in our culture, philosophy is downgraded. We say it's falsif, it's negative, whereas it is the most essential thing. So yeah, but it's going to take us to a lot of things. So yes, and then you touched on spirituality, on, of course, I mean, we're not machines. We want to know why we're here, why we do that. So you're taking into, and it's always a higher of you, etc. So I try to reply as I can. Huh?
Last but not least, you have an impressive career both as a CEO and as a leader in the pharmaceutical industry. That's really impressive and inspiring for all of us. Tonight in the room, we have very diverse backgrounds, business, engineering, but also medicine, pharmacy, and biology. What advice would you give to the students who aspire to follow a similar path to yours?
First of all, I can share my experience in Morocco. So in Africa, in Morocco, I mean, it's moving a lot. We are doing great plans. We had your president a couple of weeks ago. A couple of days ago, we had Xi Jinping. So there is something happening, and it happened for a long while. So it's an exciting place to be, to build business, to contribute to what the nation is doing. And it's been already done, but we have our contribution. And I'm glad to, with my friends and team, to contribute to that. In terms of lifestyle, I've been living here in the US, in the Middle East. Morocco is unique. So what I can tell you is, first of all, to follow your convictions, to follow your dreams, to listen to yourself. Don't listen much to the, disons, de vérité, grande prophétie. Listen to yourself. I think the most important thing where I spent a lot of time was listening to people instead of listening to myself. So have confidence and follow your dream. We have one life under earth. I don't know if I'm replying again to your question. Yeah. So you need to be decomplexed. Everything is cool. Don't be overstressed. If you feel something, go for it. Whether it's musical, whether it's arts, whether it's fintech, just go for it. Because what happens is we are into excellence when we are aligned. And it can take a life to align yourself. It's not easy. So, yeah, try to listen to your inner voice. Sometimes when I have difficult decisions, I And you have a lot of matrix. We know, we receive reports, we hear advisors, but at the end you need to take a decision. So I just close my eyes and say, okay, let's listen to what's saying. So this, and be curious. That's the science going on, the innovations going on, the access to information you guys have today. Wow, I mean, you need to eat that. Of course, you should not get sunk. I mean, but there's so much stuff, and do it your way. Don't because at the end, when you'll be interviewed and recruited by a company, or if you want to go to another higher education organization, they want to know your uniqueness, your difference, because a lot of guys are doing the same schools than you guys. But so where is the difference? Is in being true, because when you're true, you're you, and everyone is unique. That's what I would say.
So perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Cheikh Lahlou, for this first part of the presentation. So now we can move on to the second part, and I invite Mr. Mehdi Lahrichi on stage to give us some insight about this fantastic industry and the future of it. Thank you very much.
So Mehdi is my partner in crime. I must tell you. If you may, I'd like to talk.
If you start telling stuff about me, I'll tell stuff about you. So, just a warning. It has been very polite and so on. The troublemaker is coming.
No. McKinsey, BCG, Bain, all those guys, you see, great companies. But I would like to tell you one in 10 seconds. The value you build as a company or as a CEO or a manager like me with strategy and organization companies like the one of Mehdi is not just the brand McKinsey, it's the person. So it boils down again and again to relationship with people. Science, insight, super ideas are nothing if there is no trust. So we come back a lot to basics, to human things. And what is great in his house at McKinsey is that they really go with their clients who are actually partner, not in a commercial spirit. I mean, we have had so many workshops, discussions that did not end with mission and billing, etc. So this is maybe also what I can share of my experience with Mehdi, who is still my partner in crime.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it. So, since you've been very, very kind to me, am I allowed to say some nice things about you? Okay, good. Well, I mean, let's put down the phones for a minute. I mean, this is a secret I'm going to share. I don't want it shared elsewhere. Ayman here is my preferred client. Because we always have fun, actually. We always have fun. Thank you very much for trusting me. So I was asked to say a word or two about the future of pharma. Some of you saw the chart earlier. It was disclosed. I think I'll keep it very short because I know some of you here are in science, have pursuing double degrees and so on. So you probably know all of these things. This is at least the way. I mean, most people think about it. I would say. I mean, nothing rocket science, if I'm allowed. I think there are three layers, right? The first layer that you see is basically the science in itself. The second layer is more the environment of life sciences and biopharma, and then the third one is probably the expansion or the connections with other sectors and domains. So on the first one, I think here there are a couple of examples here. I think Ayman mentioned CRISPR, gene editing, synthetic biology, and so on. All of these are what it is doing at the moment is we're entering an era of massive personalization of treatments, basically. Right? That's what is happening. It has been happening actually for years. It's no news for the scientists in rooms, and this will continue to accelerate, probably with an effect, with a demultiplying effect, if I'm allowed, from technology in the sense of analytics and even artificial intelligence, right? So more and more we would be, as human beings, allowed to have personalized treatments. This has massive implications on the way we actually organize the health systems and even the way we live, right? Because we will have to pay for them, right? If today you tell anyone in the pharmaceutical industry, right, you are going to manufacture products for one person, right? That does not make sense. There is no business case for that. If you tell that to a payer, to a health system, and so on. So we're yet to invent or reinvent a way that can sustain this evolution of science and innovation. Then there is the second layer, which I feel sometimes we take for granted and we underestimate, which is the environment. So the environment of pharma, right? So first of all, I think the way the healthcare will be provided or is being provided will be less and less in person, right? Many things can be done remotely, which will push pharma and life science players to also adapt. There is a new generation of physicians who are digital native and who would want to have discussions regarding treatments, not in the traditional way of detailing, which was sending human beings to talk about the drugs and leaving some goodies or some invitations to some congress. This will have to be reinvented in this new world where even them as physicians are actually providing their services more and more remotely. Also mentioned before, I think the domain of diagnostic will change quite a bit. Is already changing with AI. So that's also in terms of how to understand patients, physicians in their interactions and so on, and how pharma and life sciences in general understands this evolving relationship will be very important. And maybe if we are entering connected to the first layer into an era of personalized medicines, maybe life science players could play a bit of a role in enabling also the diagnostics linked to personalized treatment, leveraging technology and artificial intelligence. Wearable devices and IoTs and so on is already a given, and the last part is more and more focus on sustainability, climate change. So on the one hand, science, I'll connect to the third layer, is actually contributing to that agenda. But the life science and especially the manufacturing part of pharma will have to contribute its fair share to carbon abatement, right? So far, if I oversimplify, we've basically sent all the dirty manufacturing to emerging countries, right? Now that Europe wants to relocalize, they understand that this has also some impact on the environment, right? So it's a different discussion. but probably, you know, there needs here again to be some reinvention, and again some reinvention through innovation. And then the last layer is on the expansion, right? More and more, the common belief is that life science, biotechnology, and then basically technology, information, IT, digital analytics, and so on, will get closer to serve greater good. On the one hand, of course, you know, treating people and improving or increasing life expectancy is already what's happening. More and more, it's about quality of life, right? So but there is more and more a common belief that there could be the evolution of science could have impact in broader domains. So on food systems, for example, right? On broader agriculture, right? On everything that gets into a human body, right? That combined with the pressure to abate carbon and face the climate change imperative is also an interesting trend to take into account when we talk about life science. So, you know, that's what we're talking about when we're talking future of pharma. I was asked also to maybe give a flavor of what is it to work with the client, and with the client like Cooper. So decided together with Ayman to tell you about what when we've been thinking about development in the rest of Africa outside of Morocco. I mean, that came at a moment where Rwanda and Côte d'Ivoire were already well underway. So the discussion was about what else? How do we work together, right? So this is what you see in terms of context. I wanted to show you just, and maybe we'll let Ayman comment, just some of the approach. I went too far. That's the context. No, so we missed one. No big deal. Okay. I had another slide about, and maybe I forgot to include it, about how do we work together? What are the principles of a trust-based relationship? Basically, we're looking at 4 components. So obviously, geography is Africa. Therapeutic areas where actually it was actually open. So we tried to look at the dynamics for large molecules, for vaccines, for OTC over the counters, so every type of products. Then we tried to look at market segments, customers, and channels. So depending on the geography and depending on the therapeutic areas, the way to reach the final patient can be very different. So private retail is one, public institutions is another. The structure of last mile distribution and retail distribution can be different in each one of the countries and for each one of the category products and so on. And then, depending on all of that and the starting point and so on, we've been looking at ways to enter the market between the organic and inorganic, between what should be local manufacturing versus exports and so on and so forth. And this is, multidimensional. We have to cross all of this all together. At the end of the day, it has to make sense for what Cooper wants to do. But it has also to make business sense. So in a way where we've put we can have an investment return investment profile that would be attractive to any type of investor. And I guess it's not. Si. Tu pourrais juste que je puisse lire. Merci. Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. So that's how we've been thinking about it. The first thing that we've done is doing this situational analysis, which is assessing the commercial potential at an aggregated level for the continent and then for the different type of geographic clusters. So that includes macroeconomics, regulatory aspects, and then we crossed the dimensions I described before, which was the therapeutic areas, the product categories, then the channels, and so on, to see where are the pools of potential for what Cooper was trying to or is trying to achieve, right? Based on that, we had several workshops to basically decide on the where to play. So not only geography, but also product categories and then channels. And some products Cooper would have, and some others they won't have. So that triggered other conversations about are there business developments that should be triggered, or some acquisitions and so on at portfolio level and or at geography level. And only then, when we had prioritized the where to play, we had a couple of weeks on the how to win, which is assessing the strategic go-to-market. That is then depending on the previous assessments, whether Cooper would go there organically or inorganically, also what time sequence and so on. The last part is a bit of the synthesis, both putting the numbers together. So how does it look like from a financial and commercial perspective, and how does it look like from an operational perspective, what to do when, what teams do we need, how do we have the right balance between the existing teams in Cooper and teams that we could be recruiting from elsewhere or integrating through acquisitions and so on. That's basically what we ended up doing. And most importantly, we created something that I think, and you'll tell us, Ayman, was a bit of a compass or a North Star, which we called the equity story, which basically was a description of this is the plan that we would want to pursue. We know that the situation in Africa can be volatile, that many of the developments have to be inorganic, and they are not always good deals available. So since then, we have been looking at a couple of deals together. The Cooper team has been also looking by themselves. And what I think this exercise have served is to create a bit of a backbone for what they want to do versus what seems to be a distraction, both from a management perspective and a financial perspective, but always with the bigger mission in mind or bigger purpose in mind, which is that Cooper stands for providing affordable African made or locally made treatments to patients in this geography that is Middle East and Africa, in this circumstance, Africa. So that's, in a nutshell, what we ended up doing very concretely.
I don't know let's just go with the flow. I would build on what you just said, like a guidebook on what is the strategy. 20 years back, when I started with my friend who's pharmacien responsable, directrice générale déléguée Aminette Daoudi, she told me, Ayman, strategy is what we will not do. So it's very important also to define your scope. Strategy is also what we will not do. And by the way, it was very difficult for me because I want to do a lot of stuff, but you need to have guiding things. And it's like decision. Decision, I don't know if guys have made Latin class here. Personne n'a fait de latin. Okay. So decision is coming from caesare, meaning cut, couper. So to decide is to decide what you will not do. That's something that cannot seem very evident, but that you, okay, so you need to know what you will not do in order to do good what you'll decide to do. Questions, insults, inspirations.
Thank you. Hi, thanks both for the presentation. In my previous life, I was a life sciences lawyer, and I could see how important was the relationship between companies and governmental authorities in terms of fast-tracking drug approvals and, well, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to ask any of you if you could tell us, in terms of interactions with regulators, what do you think the differences are between UAE and Saudi Arabia currently?
And our regulators in Morocco or in Africa, or between UAE and Saudi, between the both of them?
Yeah, I mean, how UAE treat pharmaceutical companies, like yes. How is the relationship?
Yeah.
And the same with Saudi Arabia. Are they more prone to be collaborative or something?
Very good question. So you're following a law degree?
I was a lawyer.
You were super. So you know already that, guys. I mean, today business law is everywhere. So if I can encourage you to dig a little bit more into law, that's a very useful tool today among the CEOs in pharma of the largest companies. Some are lawyers. Okay, so to your question, it's a very good one, and I'll I'll share with you my experience in UAE and in KSA in Saudi Arabia. UAE, I discovered 12 years ago. It was really wow, because they were so welcoming. Please come, you want to do localization, you want to build plants, etc., do things, and they really opened the doors like I've never seen before. The regulator, very open, as long as you're serious in your long-term investment, because they've been also, in this region of the world, excuse me, bullshitted for so many guys who said, okay, we'll come, we'll do, etc., or big pharma, yeah, we'll export finished product, then I promise we'll localize, and they don't do. So when you really commit to your word and you contribute in the economy locally, they really open the door. And UAE, it's called MOHAP, Ministry of Health. Now it's an agency, is among the top. There is a specificity in UAE, also Ministry of Health, is that they are the one who want to show to the world that they are the second country in the world to get the latest technologies. So if you see the latest pharma and medicine, first market is US, and then very often they take it in UAE. So they are the ones who are fast tracking up to 15 days. It's crazy. So they can have fast track, yani registration, up to 15 days. Okay, so this is one. Saudi Arabia, another story. I'm spending a lot of time there. I've been really impressed by the maturity, by the, you have done good job, guys, like you in Saudi, in the, not only Ministry of Health, no, because Saudi Arabia system of healthcare is more complex. So you have the Saudi FDA, the Ministry of Health, you have the Ministry of Local Content Ministry, you have the la caisse, le payer. So in Saudi, you need to go through a different, it's an ecosystem, and you need to, and they want to see the boss. So you cannot send your team. I pay myself and I enjoy it. You cannot say, okay, I'll send my team. No, no. You need to go. I took my family and lived there 3 years in UAE and Saudi commuting. So they want to see. So, and there I was surprised by the level of process that they have organized. Once again, if you are serious in your long-term investment. So quite surprising and interesting what you see in Saudi Arabia, and processes very well done. Now in reality, when you go to chain, but at higher level in ministries, it's going very well. But it's okay, it's okay. We know how to handle, we're Moroccan here. It's okay.
So hi, first of all, thank you for your insights. My name is Mehdi Lahrichi. I'm a student at Université Mohammed VI Polytechnique in Rabat and at Sciences Po here in Paris. So I have two questions for Mr. Cheikh Lahlou. In his latest speech marking the 49th anniversary of the Green March, His Majesty the King Mohammed VI stressed the importance of the Moroccan diaspora in the country's development. In addition, I noticed that the word innovation came up several times in your presentation. So my question is, what initiatives is Cooper Pharma putting in place or planning to develop to support innovation in healthcare and health tech within the Moroccan diaspora? And my second question is, as short as it is, how did Sanofi decide to sell you its plant in Saudi Arabia? Thank you.
Amin, no, sorry? Ismail, super Ismail, thank you for the question. First question, I've been in this journey quite bluffed by the great diaspora, Moroccan diaspora in the world. And we have advisors spanning from UC Irvine, University of California, who's a guy working on universal COVID vaccine, universal COVID, vaccin universel pour les COVID, who's nominated in the Nobel Award. It's crazy. He's a super guy. To another guy from, and this guy, Professor Larbi Ben Mohammed, is from Zagora. To a guy at the Karolinska Institute, you know the Karolinska Institute, of course, in Sweden, from Ujda, another great guy. To a guy in top German university, not to name in France, Moroccan guys of the diaspora at CNRS, at Saint-Louis. So, and then I forgot a lot. Guys at Harvard also. So I said, wow, we have such a diverse and super prospering diaspora. And they have one thing, would like to contribute and give back to our country. And that's superb. That's super. Here we talk. Here we talk. So through this Cooper Bioscience Initiative and company in Dubai and having a branch, a small branch in Palo Alto, we're doing stuff. We're doing stuff. We're not inventing. I'm a business guy. We're not scientists, but we try to team up with MIT, with Stanford, with Karolinska or things. Sometimes ça marche, other times it doesn't work, but overall good. We've done some great things on the CRISPR. So yes, we have a super diaspora. We have guys who are thriving. And if you would tell me, I would say, how can I transform my company to be an environment where those great minds, whether they are from Morocco or not, where talent can come, contribute in Morocco and blossom and make business out of it. Also another important point that I've learned and we're doing with the guys like from private equity, you need to share. You need to share. You need to make a business models. You know, you know those guys in private equity, you raise money, then you invest in companies, and then you get a fee on the plus-value. You know those things? Anyway, now no models is to share the value with the talent. So some guys came back and they had disappointing experiences in Morocco because this or that. That's okay. But Morocco is changing and we have an environment that is more prone into that. So this was your first question. The second question I will not answer. No. How did we get the Sanofi deal? Was competition. Now we are into a deal, acquisition, more than this previous one, where we are 20 competitors. So at the end of the day, the short answer is money. But there is more to it. Because guys like Sanofi, for instance, and I'm not throwing flowers to them, so you have big houses, and very much in Europe, especially in France, who are caring about the ones who will take over their operations, who are caring about the ones who will take over their people. And I found that superb. And a great news in this world of business, finance, transaction, and very transactional. So they need to find a partner who would sustain their legacy, who would take care of the people. And I found it super because I don't find it in the Anglo-Saxon world always. Here, the care in France with a company like Sanofi, and I'm not into advertising Sanofi, I'm sharing my experience. In the agreements, the number of provisions to take care of their staff that we are taking over were really important. And they've been following post-deal. So I think they liked us because of this sensitivity and also because of what we were doing in the region that was coinciding with their strategies of changing their model from owning assets to keeping assets locally but owned by others, serving them, to make it short. And I think we won because we have ladies' power at Cooper that is exceptional.
Hello? Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to stand. So first, thank you so much for this presentation, and thank you so much, HEC Maroc, for this incredible event. I am Mohamed Bahad from Central Supelec. So I have basically two questions for both of you guys. My first question is regarding the pharmaceutical industry in Morocco. What are the real challenges? Is it more of a supplier raw material supply challenge, manufacturing challenge, or is it a being cost competitive in comparison to foreign suppliers? That's my first question. My second question is, I believe pharma industry is like very capital intensive with a very high working capital requirements. So the future of pharma can only be shaped with like big players like yours. So what's the future of pharma industry in Morocco? Thank you.
Okay. Then you tell me. then you tell me if you agree or not. But actually, I think the second, my personal belief is not to be quoted outside, is that your second question is actually answering the first one. I think, and many people know it. I mean, if you look at it from a structure of the industry in Morocco, there needs to be a bit of consolidation so that the best ones, the well-structured ones, the ones that are also more compliant in terms of regulatory, in terms of quality, in terms of just professionalism, can indeed acquire the necessary scale to emerge, to go beyond borders, so beyond Morocco, and also to innovate. So today there is still, I mean, they know, they heard it from me before. I feel there is still, compared to the depth of the market, too much fragmentation, and different players are playing with different rules. I'm hoping that with the new construct, there will be an even additional push for consolidation. That I can say, you probably cannot say publicly.
No, listen, you pointed out, I fully agree, fully agreed. You pointed out also to comparative advantage or cost competitiveness. So if you hear outside, you say, oh yeah, in Morocco, in Africa, they must be cost competitive. But you must always go to the next question. You must, okay, give me the figures. Let me see by myself. The cost of a drug, overall, más o menos, 50% is the actives, raw material, active ingredient, 50%. 25% labor, 25% amortization. So the factor we are supposed to have in Morocco is maybe the labor, but we don't have API. It's the same price. We will buy at the same price 50% of what will do my COGS. And probably more, because we're a small market, even Africa small, even Africa, Middle East. Africa, Middle East is 4 or 5% of global market. Just, that's it. $50 billion out of 1 trillion plus. So we would buy as Moroccans at a higher price than a Chinese or a European would buy. Donc déjà, already we don't play in this 50%. Then amortization. We buy the same machineries. So I have the same costs. So we are not, don't quote me also, we are not price competitive. People would sit and say, yeah, we do export. And we would go into the news and say, wait, we do export. We export to Africa. Your question should be, how much do you export? You should do, I'm doing the critical analysis, the critical thinking. Go beyond what they serve you, what you read. 8% of our output. We export to Africa sur un malentendu. Because we speak the French. I'll tell you the truth. Because we speak the same language. But we're fighting with Chinese, with Indians, who are much better in COGS. Still, shall we die? No way. So what do we have? What do we have? We have a know-how. We know the norms. We know how to build the plant. We know how to run doctors, scientific information sharing, etc. So on a métier, we have a think that we should not export only our goods because it will be limited. We cannot, by definition, by COGS, by economies of scale, but we can export our capital, our skills, and do these plants, these pharma companies abroad. This is one avenue. But you need to have the mindset of that. It's not easy. The problem is the mindset of the players. And the second thing, we can also learn. We can start, okay, to establish ourselves in innovative centers and learn. we should not dream like crazy. We should dream and do things that are realistic, but still stretching. To reply shortly, because that's a great question. But of course, consolidation is needed in our sector in Morocco, in other sectors in Morocco, but we're facing ego. Yeah, that's another story, because when you are in family setups, people have their own ego. It's not, so it takes time, and then it's a matter of generation, etc. So this is the reality of, and also the beauty of entrepreneurial family businesses, because the family businesses in Morocco, like in Africa, are driving a lot the economy. But there are also limits to go to the next wave that is calling for consolidation, for bringing professionals and no longer guys from the capital. So it's a process, and we are into it. Recently, last 2-3 years, the sector is starting to consolidate with what? Not naturally within its players. They did not manage with the entry of PEs, private equity. They are the good consolidators.
Hello, thank you very much for your presentation. I have one question for both of you. So, if I understand well, Cooper has two streams. The first one is GMC manufacturing, and the second one is fabricating under license. And as Mr. Lahrichi said, we see some trends in the pharmaceutical sector where we are going to focus more on the individualization of medicines, and maybe on other technologies like gene therapy. The question is, how do you see the future for your first business unit in this context, knowing that there is some big guys that are, for example, Pfizer is focusing on biotechnology, or Sanofi that sold its consumer healthcare division. So they are going on this trend of individualization, high development. Maybe do you think that in Morocco we can have some research, even if it lasts 20 years to develop a drug, but if we can have some research to fabricate drugs in Morocco or in Africa, and if no, what do you miss to have this? Thank you.
So, great questions tonight, huh? Great audience. For that, exact. But you started saying that everything I do is free, so that's it was not a good. We are paid in euros. Okay, good. Fine, great. Listen, I think for Middle East Africa, for emerging world, the trend that you picked, and for players from the emerging world is actually an opportunity before becoming a threat. And you know, if I was asked why Cooper bought back from Sanofi, right? I think it's following the same trend, right? I mean, big pharma, as you said, Pfizer and so on, they have, you know, constrained funds that the basically global markets are dictating to earmark for innovation, which is harder and harder to define, right? If you think about it, where the markets are, which is developed countries, right? We're reaching, I mean, 90 years of life expectancy, and then even if you do like anyone in a good business school, some even, you know, more granular segmentation, actually the people who can afford to pay premiums, right? They actually their kids, the ones that are born today, have actual life expectancies that are probably beyond 100 years, right? So in that context, defining an economic model for the traditional pharma that was all about improving or increasing life expectancy and then quality of life. I mean, it's harder and harder. And think about how much people are now and systems are now paying for extending the life of someone for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months in average, right? So reaching a little bit of a limit. The emerging worlds, which are billions of people, right? Still the vast majority of the world, is not at that stage at all. It's not at that stage at all, right? So this is creating an opportunity for private money, not public, including family-owned businesses that are modernizing. It's creating also an opportunity for players from the local, from the emerging world. So that's why there are more and more deals that are of mature portfolios, divestments from emerging market. I mean, if you think about it in emerging market, Saudi is not small. It's a massive market, right? So that is creating an opportunity. But again, as Ayman was saying, more often than not, those are PEs that are jumping on it, right? And they are transforming that opportunity into money. That's why it's important to have players from all over. You have some in LATAM, you have some in Southeast Asia, you have some in the Middle East and Africa that are able to fulfill that gap for now. And the hope is that while fulfilling that gap, they'll create enough scale for them to think about the innovation that are needed in the emerging economies when they will be needed, right? So I mean, that was a bit of a complex answer to a simple question.
Yes, hi. First, thank you both for your presentation. My name is Minna Brahim. I'm from the MBA program, and I also come from my own pharmaceutical family business in Egypt. Oh. Yeah.
We don't talk to MBA, sorry.
Should I pass the mic then? Thank you. I just have 2 questions, a question and a follow-up. Based on your experience and the methods you've used for entering international markets, what was, in your opinion, the best method for the European market and the Saudi market? And the follow-up question is that if you then are looking for partners, what is the criteria you look for in the partners you tend to then have the deals with? So thank you.
Thank you so much. So your family is in pharma, in Egypt?
Yes, generics.
Super. First of all, I love Egypt. It's such a great country, great people. I think we've been three times last year.
Thank you.
I have very good friends in pharma in Egypt, and the people who don't know Egypt should go to Egypt. There is this popular genius in Egypt. So only that, and music. I love music, Arabic music. Only that is enough for market entry in Egypt. So we are looking to Egypt, definitely. Now, your question, so you are blessed to come from this country, never forget it. Mm-hmm. And it's a country we love, and it's very important if you want to do business somewhere. Maybe I can name another or 10 others countries from the regulated market, much bigger than Egypt or Morocco or Saudi, but I don't feel connected to that. So we have the luxury also to decide where we want to go. Sometimes it's not always very, very... Okay, so what are the criteria for market entry, to choose a market and to choose a partner? That was the question. So first of all, you need to map where you want to go, where you can go. This is what we've done together. We've been doing that very scholarly. Sometimes You say, oh, this is obvious. No, go through all the obvious. Question the rationale behind anything. And sometimes we are surprised. So don't go quick. Just do the things very scholarly, as we've done. We've been through 52 or 54 countries in Africa. We came to obvious conclusions, but we are convinced of them, and Egypt is part of it. And if you look at Egypt, guys, you said, well, you're not gonna go there. Currency problems, local, but it's super, believe me, but it's not easy. So, okay, so you map, first of all, you need to know where you wanna go. يعني it's not خبط عشواء, it needs to follow a strategy, a logic. Then I think there should be a lot of humility, because I've been seeing so many guys, companies coming to markets with, we know, we have the technology, we're going to teach you. No, we need to come with humility. When we go to Rwanda, to Côte d'Ivoire, to Saudi, to Czech, to Spain, we are invited, we are guests. So you need to understand that you need to bow and pay respect and understand the local markets, the dynamics. It is very important. Ideally, I like partners. I like to do with partners. So Saudi, we did not buy 100% of Sanofi overnight. We had a journey of 12 years. First thing was JV with Pimaco, #1 pharma player. We've been minority, just listening and going through the things. Then we did our commercial operations. We had 8 guys. Now we have 65 in sales. And it's been step by step. So this is our way. So we like to do with partners. That's the way we choose our mode of entry. And once we understand the market, then we eat the partner. I'm kidding. No, you do step by step. So that's my advice. What else can I tell you? Then you have matrices, of course, of complexity, payoffs. So Saudi, maybe the question was Saudi. I think there's a lot of sense of Egyptian to go into Saudi. It's very much...
So both for Saudi and Europe?
Europe, no. Complicated. There is a mistake. So people will look at... So what Mehdi was saying is that we have a playoff in emerging markets that now maybe is even freer because of big pharma are refocusing on higher technology that only big rich countries can afford. So they are not divesting or changing their presence in emerging market. So this is leaving the place for guys like us more open. It's never that easy, but think about it. So we want to go to Europe because of our complex, to go, that's my assumption, to the previous colonizer. You've been seeing Tata buying Jaguar. You've been seeing Land Rover. You're seeing another, I love India, I go a lot to India. What's this brand in liqueurs, liqueur? Kingfisher. Who've been to India, by the way? So nobody's perfect, my friend. But shame of you guys who have not been in India. How can you? I'm Maharashtra. I'm not. My second home is Mumbai area. So guys, you have not been in India. You have not been in. Who has been in China? A little bit more. So tomorrow, next holidays, you go to India, you go to China, and you learn. China is top. India, I love it. It's different. So, but why were we talking about India? Je suis perdu. Kingfisher. Kingfisher. You know Vijay Malaya. Okay. So same, they both Indian, European English things. So I think there is also a kind of egoistic driver. This you will not read You will not learn at HEC or even at HBS, but we did a lot of studies at Stanford on the ego of the boss. And a lot of things are driven by ego, believe me. Anyway, Europe is difficult. Europe is mature markets. Of course, it's cool to say, I am in Europe. Believe me, I paid the price to be in Europe. It was not easy. Now it's okay. Because the competition is so big. Don't see Europe as a pie, as a larger pie than emerging markets. When there is something larger, make no mistake, there is much fiercer competition. Then if we want to go into the details, the business model of pharma in emerging market, India, Morocco, Saudi, Latam, super, Southeast Asia, go to Indonesia, guys, go to Malaysia, go to Singapore, super, 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 is different than the business model of pharma in Europe, in US, in UK, basically branded generics model, commodity generics model, different payers. So I don't want to get into more details. It's not sexy to go to Europe, believe me. You see, it's raining today. You know. So watch out. You need to dig. There could be niche. There could be opportunities when you'll be under the radar, when you have an angle for sure. But look at generics in France. Everyone is bleeding money. Even Biogarin, I think, was sold or in the same. So Europe is not in the generics business, sorry. In innovation, if you want to invest in R&D centers, that could be cool. But go do them in Suzhou, near Shanghai, it's better. Or in Incheon, in Korea. Go dig more. It's not always as glitter as it can seem.
Do you think, like...
But the food is good in Paris.
Of course. I think my opinion is that since the COGS in Egypt is definitely much less than in Europe, so there is always a competitive advantage in the terms of the generics we would export would be much, much, much cheaper compared to here.
My dear, building a business model on cost competitiveness is not great because there will be always someone who will be more competitive than you in COGS. That's the problem. That's the problem. You should not sell only this. You should look for something more that will create more differentiation. There will be always a guy. You're right. COGS in Egypt are maybe the lowest on the region. If your business model is to export generics and a certain differentiate, but I think there is more value in Egypt's greatness of people and pharma industry to build on other stuff because the COGS competition were taken by China and India. We can play as long as they are not yet there, but once they be there, no?
Thank you.
Thank you. I have one. I would like to thank you, both of you, for sharing your experience. Thank you, HEC, too. My question is really simple. My name is Leila. I'm a pharmacy student, and I'm in a health marketing master degree. I would like to know what it takes to work in pharmaceutical industry in Africa. Do you have an opinion about this? How can I adapt myself? Because I've never lived in Morocco or in Africa. For example, to work in medical affairs, in marketing. I'm specialized in medical education, so in medical affairs. What does it take to be a pharmacist in pharmaceutical industry? Thank you.
It takes a lot of talent. I mean, welcome. I think it's probably, you have 52 pharma companies in Morocco. You have, I think, a total of 400 pharma companies in Africa, and maybe easily 50 to 16 Middle East. So you have a lot. And function number 1 is regulatory. You're into this. You want? Sorry? Sorry, thank you. No, of course, regulatory affairs, medical affairs is essential. So you will find opportunities, I think, in every company, and we would probably also learn from your insights and your experience. So yes, we need in Morocco, in Africa, we need people who have been trained like you. We have already. We have also people educated in Morocco very well, but we need these guys from pharmacy, medicine, business schools, engineering, a lot. So no problem. Our head of regulatory and medical affairs is here.
First, don't be afraid of Africa or Middle East. Don't really be afraid. These countries are very interesting to work in. First, because the decision center is at the end of the corridor. So when you work with companies like ours, you have a journey and you are part of the transformation that the company is going through. And this is something very interesting and very important for you guys. You are not a number in a hierarchy. You can make things happen at your level, and you can make things that count. Then when it comes to medical affairs, definitely there's some room for you with us and all the people that have any background in this, as well as engineering, business, anything that you do with passion, in which you believe will have something with us. So please send your CVs to us, and we will be more than happy if there is a connection to take the discussion further.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're going to stop now and go to the cocktail downstairs. So I invite you all to go downstairs and join us. Other people from the McKinsey team and from Cooper Pharma team will be there as well. Thank you very much for coming. If we can give all a warm round of applause to our speakers.
Thank you again for HEC organization. And God bless you guys, and believe in yourself and have fun.